What's up, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the firewall, where we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and today, as always, I am joined by Shannon Tynes
What's up? What's up?
and Levon Maynard.
What up?
So, we have a really good show for you today. Today, we'll be talking about the T Mobile web usage data and how they're going to start making money off of you, these ads. So, I'll let you take it away, Shannon.
All right. So this one's from arstechnica.com actually, and it's T-Mobile will sell your web usage data to advertisers unless you opt out, right? So you may hear this and be like, "Well, shoot, I always thought they were doing that anyway, right?" That's why I keep getting all these targeted advertisements towards me, right? We think, "Oh, it's already something that they were doing," but no, this time they're actually notifying us because they actually I'll hit it a little bit later, but they actually got in trouble for this once before. But next month, starting April 26th, T-Mobile is going to begin a new program that uses some data we have that they have about us, information for like your web browsing, device usage data, service. They're going to provide this stuff to their third party for third party advertising. Man, I can't get it together today. So
You're good.
yeah. So they're gonna send out a privacy notice to us and say, hey, when we share the information, it's not tied to your name, right? Because that's what people were probably thinking is that, oh, they're gonna see, Shannon Tynes, this, that, and the third. But no, it's gonna be a an advertising ID that T-Mobile uses for you. And I know Google does this same thing. I know that on Google, and I do this myself actually. Every once in a while, I'll just go and reset my advertising ID on there. You know what I mean? Just to do it, just keep them on their toes. If you want me, you gotta work hard to get me. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things where they're gonna start selling it, and again, you can opt out of it, right? And they have instructions on how to do it and what you need to do if you want to opt out. But this is something that's not really new. But what I was mentioning before was they actually got caught doing this before without notifying people, and the fine I think that got levied against them was $91 million. Let me find this again. So yeah, FCC in February 2020 proposed a fine of $91 million for T-Mobile, which was the biggest for any major carrier at that time. But they said they're going to fight the penalty, right? And what's crazy about this is that we can go back a little bit, right? And during the President Obama administration, the FCC tried to require home internet and mobile broadband providers to get the opt-in consent before doing this, right? So they were like, okay, if you guys say you want to do this, you got to let customers know. You got to let them opt into this to be able to, share their information on their habits, their browsing habits, what they're purchasing, to all these third-party vendors. And so what ended up happening was the next administration came in and they killed that back in 2017. So we were getting looked our government was looking after us, at one point, and then they came and flipped it on us. So uh this is one of those things for me, again, like I know it's happening anyway, so it's like, whatever. I'll probably still opt out, but I still do things on my own end to try to keep this stuff from happening anyway, right? Try to browse incognito or whatever, as much as that is going to help you, right? But yeah, it's at least they're telling us this time, right? And we're like a month and a half away from that, a little over a month from that, right? April 26th, today's the 13th. So yeah, we'll see what happens, and we'll see what comes of it. But Levon, what's your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, so I was going to say that it's as you kind of mentioned before, it's as to be expected. I know a lot of these companies already, they gather your data. It's part of the service. You can at least, like you said, they're sending out warning ahead of time, let people know of some changes as far as how they're gathering this data, what they're selling to these companies. Like you said, the advertising ID, which is not tied to our particular information, like they don't know our name and address, which is good. They just know some of our browsing habits and some sites we like to go to, and maybe even how we like to use the device, what kind of programs, what kind of applications maybe we use on the phone more than others, which you know uh, is concerning. But at the same time, it's not the end of the world. It's like pretty much anytime you get on the internet and you start browsing things, unless you're like, you know, you're incognito, you're using VPN and all this kind of stuff. People are going to see what you're doing. Um, And then you even got to look at what the VPN provider you're using, if they're using the proper methods to secure your data. If they're trying to sell it, if you're using a free one, a lot of times the free ones are actually like doing things on the back end that maybe you don't like, that you want to like them doing with your data. Um, so it's one of those things that you know it's I'm glad that they're giving warning to customers to opt out of it. I think I got an email about it just the other day. I looked at, because when you guys sent me this article, I actually looked at some of the options that were in this article, and my settings were already set to do not sell, because I think I had looked at this a while back. But I normally do that whenever I see the opportunity to do not sell my information. Um, and then even if I get like, I don't know if you guys do the same thing, but I get credit card state or free credit card like
Approvals, the approval.
pre-approval, like
Yeah.
stuff like that. But you can actually go in there and there's options to opt out of getting these kind of communications from credit card companies. So I've opted out of those before. So I get you know far fewer of those kind of approval credit cards in the mail. So um, this is kind of the same boat. You got to make sure that you guys are, as the audience, make sure you guys are just opting out. If you don't want your information shared out there, if you don't want them tracking your browsing and selling to companies to help them, pitch more, more deals to you that you. And some people enjoy it because it will, if you go to Facebook and things like that, you start browsing, you search on Amazon for something, and you go back to Facebook, then all of a sudden you see the thing that you would search on Amazon for on your feed on Facebook. They use this kind of thing to track your utilization and try to advertise things that they think that you'll like. And maybe some people that might be good. Maybe you'll be able to find some things that you were looking for, like, oh, this new product came out, that's something that I'm interested in, like some sort of a gadget or something like that. Um, and you can use that as a way to do some shopping, especially if you're a shopaholic, like uh, like some people are. But yeah, I think it's. I'm glad that they're, like we said, glad that they're taking the initiative to warn people ahead of time. I know there's a lot of companies that are under the fire right now. Google, some others, Facebook in particular. Google and Facebook, I think, are the two big ones right now that are. I think they're actually in some. Uh, well, it might be slightly different, but I know they've been in like some talking to Congress and have like trials with the Senate and stuff like that, talking about the privacy policies, and now I think it's something going on with the news, how they're like um, controlling access to the news through the forums, through the platforms. But these kind of things are things we got to look out for as citizens and make sure our data is being secured. But what's your thoughts on this, Ryan? You have any opinions?
So I'm not terribly worried about my data being sold. That's not really my concern. I'm still going to opt out. I think we have four T-Mobile accounts in our family plan, four or five or something like that. I don't know if the tablet counts, but I don't know. But I'm gonna get the instructions and give them to all of my family members to opt out. Only because I'm not worried about them selling the data. I just don't like it being tied to the device. Like, yes, your information isn't tied to the ID, but your phone is tied to the ID. And then we remember that we have there's a callback to the Favicon episode where something so benign as the thumbnails for websites was then flipped to be a vulnerability where they can go through and search your browser history. So again, it's pretty benign, and it probably would take some very far leaps to get from getting your ID to then stalking your phone. I'm sure that there's a lot of different mechanisms to stop that from happening. But as we have seen the past couple of years, people will tie the most loose factors together to create a pretty big vulnerability. So I just don't, I don't, if I'm able to opt out, I'm going to opt out. This is always going to be my way of doing business from here on out. Like, again, I don't think them selling my information, because I'm still going to get the dumb cookie stuff anyway, right? Like I get nothing but CISP banners and
Right.
like anything I recently searched for, I get a million banners. I'm just like, I know I cut these features off. Like, I shouldn't be seeing this, but
Mhm.
still, it still pops up. So it's just trying to uh, minimize exposure as much as possible. Try to minimize my footprint. Again, I love when machines know what I want. It just makes life so much simpler. But I'm starting to get more and more, I guess, paranoid just because they're thinking of vulnerabilities and different ways of accessing my data and my devices that I just didn't think about, and I'm tired of being reactive. Like, so a proactive step would just be to minimize my exposure, which is what I'm going to do in this account. Um, and then Shannon, you mentioned that they got caught doing this before, but it was even more. Is more worse a proper phrase? It was
More
even
egregious.
worse,
More egregious.
more egregious, because they're
That's right.
they're selling location data as well with it. So not only were they selling, you're like, oh, this person likes to browse this, but they also like this person goes to this location a lot. So if it's your favorite restaurant or the bus stop or your place of business, um, kind of like how when I had a note, it would give me the route. It'd be like, "Oh, you're so close to home right now. Traffic is great." I'm like, "How do you know I'm going home right now?"
Hmm. Right.
It's because you know what I mean. Like these niceties can come back to haunt us. So I think in this one, it's like you're not going to gain anything by Deutsche Telekom selling your information. Like you're not going to get like the best ad ever in a coupon because of it. So just hit the button, just opt out of it. It's not going to hurt you. It's just going to, I guess, not really do much for them. But
So like
that's my paranoid 2 cents.
so like I'm a little paranoid about some of this stuff too. So like Levon, you were mentioning like how you keep getting the credit card things and whatnot, right? Like so I'll get those in email and whatnot. And so I'm paranoid, like I don't even want to unsubscribe. Like my thought is if I unsubscribe, they're gonna know somebody's on the other end, and I don't want that. So
Right.
I'll just mark it as spam, and then they'll get no response, and then yeah, that'll show them, right? Like that's where I'm at with mine. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I'm not even gonna unsubscribe, so somebody is taking action on the other end. But
Right.
like and like what you were talking about with the location services, Ryan, like almost every app you have now, especially if it's one that's like if it's a Chick-fil-A, McDonald's or whatever, like there's always some type of location services. Like I will choose the setting that says use for this app only, but I don't know how or only when app is in use. That's what it says. Only when app is in use. But I don't even know how accurate that is. Like, do I know, am I sure it's not on all the time? And I just, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Is it in use 24/7 and just don't
yeah,
know? Or,
Right.
like you're telling me you're only going to use it when I bring this app up, but how do I know that?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's I don't know.
Yeah. Because
So
the app may have some background process or something that runs
Yeah,
24/7
right.
that you never know about.
So there is one like that. Oh man, I don't know if I should say the app's name because I'm not trying to blast it. But when I went to Israel last time before COVID finally struck, um, I was hitting the towers over there, and like T-Mobile was amazing. Like I love the company. I love just how I can be anywhere in the world. I have not found a place yet where it doesn't say "Welcome to T-Mobile" and here's some free data and other things. Like, but we're gonna charge you a grip for that phone call. I ain't gonna make no phone calls. That's fine. But so I was in Israel, and I kept pinging between an Israeli tower and a Jordan tower because Jordan is like right there. So it kept bouncing me back and forth. So I kept getting the welcome messages. So I was like, whatever. So I drove to the Dead Sea. Yeah, I went to the Dead Sea. Like it was a super cool place. I drove back, and then later on, my wife was like, "Hey, did you know that on this app I can actually see how fast you were driving?" And I was like, "What?" So I opened up the app, and then every time I hit a location, it pinged the tower as well as it was tracking how fast I was going. So,
Wow.
and I didn't even know that was a service that was running in the app. And then,
were you using GPS? Were you using GPS when you were driving, or no?
yes, I was using it because I didn't know where anything was at. But yeah, I guess the app was collecting that data and it was tracking my speed, and I wasn't always going the speed limit. So it's like incriminating data being
Right.
tracked.
Right.
Or somebody could just pull it and be like if it wasn't in my family circle or whatever, like if somebody could somehow get access to the app, they could have been like, oh, he's going around this corner, and this is where we're gonna beat him up.
That's right.
This is where
That's
we
right.
get him.
This is where
But
we get them.
obviously, these are all few and far between. Like this stuff's not going to happen to 99.9% of the population, but
Hmm.
it's pretty crazy.
Right. You
And
never know.
you just never know, like the data is being captured on you and how it can be utilized in the future. So
Hmm. Absolutely.
Again, I'm being
You
paranoid.
gotta be safe.
No, you're not being paranoid. You're being safe.
That's
All right.
right.
That's why I need to be a CISO. I'm gonna keep your company safe.
That's right.
But no, that was a good conversation. I don't want to cut anybody off if they have anything else to add.
I think I'm good.
Good.
All right, then I can land this plane. So shout out to my co-hosts. It's always good conversation. Shout out to the Patreons for their support, keeping this show. It's going to run regardless, but you make me want to keep doing it. So I appreciate you. Thank you to those watching it on. Oh, I'm sorry. If you join the Patreon, you'll get it earlier, right? You get it at least 7 days early, probably even earlier than that, completely ad free. So please join the Patreon. It's a pretty good community in there. Or not pretty good, great. I gotta stop saying pretty good. It's a great community in there. Um, but if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're providing more of this content throughout the week. Also, hit a like if you like the video. I'm not going to tell you to like something you don't like, but it would be nice. Leave us a comment. Like I said, subscribe. Click the bell so you know when more content comes out. So that way you can watch that as well. If you're a podcast listener, just continue to listen like you have been. If you're new to our podcast, please hit the subscribe button. We're probably on your platform of choice. And then I drew a blank. Oh, socials. So go to the website, www.theothersideofthefirewall.com, where you can get to our Instagram, our Twitter, our Facebook page and group, all that good stuff. And you can personally hit us up. I am Ry Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy on both Twitter and Clubhouse. And Levon,
And you hit me up at Levon Maynard.
there you go. We keep it simple here.
Keep
All
it simple.
right. Y'all be easy.
Take care.